we will start with OAuth. So OAuth basically is now uh, kind of a de facto standard for API security, right? And everyone is expected to understand what exactly is OAuth, basics of OAuth and protocol. So, so first we start with OAuth introduction. So first question, obviously, what is OAuth v2? So OAuth v2 is the one which is used right now. Okay. So OAuth had version 1, but that is discontinued from 2008. No one uses it. Okay. From last.
Manish, just one thing. Sorry to interrupt you in between. I just wanted to get one or two things clear first.
Okay.
Means see, we are attending the classes regularly on Saturday and Sunday. So accordingly, how much time will it take now from here to complete any rough estimation from your side? Uh,
Uh, 12 to 13 hours, I think, more or maximum 14 hours, I guess. 13, 14
14
hours.
hours.
Maximum you
Okay.
say 12 to 14 hours. So,
12 to 14 hours. Okay. So you have provided me the Apigee access. So once the class is over, so you will take back that Apigee access.
yeah, I mean, I will keep it for some time, not an issue. Just
Okay.
let me know when you, I mean, when you need it to be there. Actually, I'm also trying to set up one APG server. Okay,
Uh-huh.
one APG server for the labs and practice only. Okay, that
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking to because I'm going to set up on my own server.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so I was thinking I would, in case you want to continue further and all those stuff, we can have that one going forward.
Yes, yes, Manish, because what I'm trying to say now, see, you are teaching, okay, but I will be needing that for practice for several months. So if you want me to give you some money for the charge or something, I'm willing to do that because I don't have any other platform to practice. If I will not practice, I'll not be able to crack up the interview or learn RPG.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's my humble request. So please keep the access or give me some access. And if you want any money, we can directly connect and I can send you. No issues with that.
Yeah, sure. Because here actually some of the people who, I mean, this thing. So because it is a client one, it is not mine. So here
Yeah.
that I need to make sure once the training is done, I clean up data and everything. So because
Uh-huh.
this is a client one, so usually so far it has not created any issue. But yeah, there are some in the org admin. You will see there are a lot of client side people and all are there.
Mhm. So
You need to,
what I will do is I will just practice in one proxy, and when the practice over, I can delete it. So I will not, have any proxy so anyone to see it. So I can do like this. And once you set up your server access, so
yeah.
you can just ping me that I have set up the server access, and whatever money is that for the charge of that to use it, I will pay you that, and you please continue that access to me.
Yeah, so that one will be there. That's why for that reason actually become not only you, many other people also who are my former students or even
Uh-huh.
some people I know I work with uh, 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 because due to lack of the access or lack of because APJ stopped the
Yes.
free account. So for that reason, so many people have asked me and I'm setting up. But only thing is that that access has to be from the VPN because see
Uh-huh.
APG keeps checking the if someone is using because we are going to use our license the so company where I work, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I have access to that account, so I had done a lot of APG installations for my own practice previously, and also I still
Mm-hmm.
have APG what is the credentials for licensing and everything. I have the license file
Mm-hmm.
credentials. So along with one of my colleagues, so I'm setting up on my own server. Okay, I have one own server, but yeah, but we have to keep it under VPN because so that it is not available public internet. Okay, so
Okay.
so for that reason, I need to do some setups and everything properly.
Uh-huh.
A VPN and yeah, once it is set up and all, I will let you know if you are if you agree. Then we will create a VPN account for you and we'll
Yeah,
start.
yeah, sure. There's nothing to agree. I mean, from to this time only, it's yes.
Yeah, yeah, no problem because we have to
Nothing
see.
to agree.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I mean that's why. So well, I mean within few days or weeks we will try. I will try to set up that and we'll
Yeah,
share.
yeah. Before this class gets end now, so if you can just set up, so it will be great. Or till the time it's not set up, please keep on continuing the access. Okay, and once it is set up, then I will leave the access. Means you can reset the password.
Yeah, yeah. Most likely by next weekend we will be able to do that setup because I'm
Yes,
taking off.
yes. Then that is good.
So by most likely next weekend I will make sure that everything from
Thanks,
that.
thanks, Manish. So this is the one thing that was going in my head because I need to practice, and
Yeah,
it's not about just one day; it's about many years. I
correct.
have to keep on practicing. Right? You are an Apigee developer, you know.
Yeah, obviously.
So yeah, I will permanently need it. So whatever charges monthly basis or 6 month basis or 1 year basis, you tell me. I'll keep on paying. No issues.
Yeah, no problem. Because yeah, we have to just make sure that for the server cost and everything, and we are just setting up what are there. Because at server I'm setting at my own home in India. Okay,
Okay.
so that server, I mean, we have already bought a server. Just I have to set that server and also set the VPN and everything and
Mhm.
many other things. So just we have to just see how much cost it comes and everything. So accordingly, what is the costing, we can keep it on those stuff. So we'll
Sure,
keep it.
sure, Manish. Yeah, just let me know the charges. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. So we'll see.
Thanks, thanks. Yeah, we can continue.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so OAuth basically is authorization framework that allow the client to grant access to server resources to another entity without sharing credentials. So anyone who, I mean, if any person is there, okay, and I own my resource on the server, okay, and you are a third party app, okay, so you, if
Mhm.
any third party app developer who want to access my server resources, okay, that person can get access to my resources, but I don't have to share my credentials with them. Okay, so it is like without sharing credentials, you can get access to my server resources. Pretty much like Facebook, we play the games on Facebook, right? People play games on Facebook, people use apps on Facebook. So those kind of things, right? So all those things happen as part under OAuth framework only. Okay, so here any end user who is a Facebook client, right? Facebook customer, Facebook client, they can share their Facebook data with some third party app, but they do not enter Facebook username password on the third party, right? Because that is not safe. So without sharing their credentials with the third party app, they can still share some part of their data, okay, to the third party apps, okay, games or apps, right?
Yeah.
So here in as part of the OAuth protocol, the OAuth server generates the tokens. Okay, like basically here Facebook is the server, correct? So that will be both. So it will be OAuth server also and the resource server. So it will also have my data. So it will have a resource server which will have all the resources, my data, and also OAuth server. Okay, so OAuth server. So the Facebook will generate the OAuth token for the client, or many times Apigee is one acts as a OAuth server, right? Because you have the developer registered, right? All the developer apps we just saw in the last lab, we created product, we created developer, created app, correct? So wherever you have apps and developers are registered, that is the OAuth server. So the server generates OAuth token. Now these tokens allow this token have certain properties. First, they allow limited access, okay, and only to specific resources, and only for a specified period of time. So these are three important things. One, you have only limited access, not full access, okay, depending on the use cases, okay, then only to specific resources, not all the resources, okay, and then only for a specified period of time. So token will have some expiry, okay, we don't provide a forever token, okay, so it will always have some expiry with some time. And on top of it, the token can be revoked by either the user that granted permission. So for example, you don't want to play the game anymore, correct? You that you someone play the game, or then after some time they stop playing the game, and they see that okay, from the game they will keep getting notifications and all those stuff. So you can go and revoke that. So you can go and revoke the token, okay. Or the server, the Facebook itself, if for some reason if Facebook sees that okay, don't want to give access to this third party app, it is violating something or any kind of thing, so server also can revoke it. So either by the user who given permission, or from the server which has issued the token, these two, one of these two can revoke it, okay. So that is the uh, I mean, yeah, so these are the properties of this token. Now in OAuth, we have some other key concept and we use the terms. Okay, so there are some OAuth specific terms. One is called grant type. So grant type is nothing but your different authentication or usage scenario. So basically a use case. So in OAuth, there are multiple use cases. Okay, one use case, for example, is B2B. There is no end user involved. Okay, so that is one grant type. Second is your first party apps. If you have Facebook app, right? Facebook app from the Facebook mobile, you log in your Facebook app, or Facebook Messenger app, right? So that is another scenario where it is a mobile app, first party app, or any third party app. So different scenarios. Each scenario is known as one grant type. Okay, so their use cases of OAuth or scenario, those scenarios are known as grant type. Okay, then we have client ID secret. So this is what we just last lab we did, correct? The app key or secret, right? So consumer key or app is known as client ID. Consumer key same as the client ID. Secret is the secret. Okay, so the same thing. So the app, the whoever is the app, the third party app or first party app, the app key and app secret. Okay, apart from that we have a something parameter called a scope. So there is a parameter, okay, which is sent by the client and it is defined by the OAuth server. So OAuth servers define these parameters. So scope is the parameter which tells what kind of access you are giving, okay, what kind of access or what level of access you are giving to the consumer. Okay, so that is defined in the scope parameter. Okay, and all the OAuth API calls, all the OAuth calls are on the TLS. Okay, so TLS, so not just OAuth API, in fact, all the actual API calls, right? Even the actual API calls, every API call that we do, right? It should be on the TLS. So OAuth mandates all the OAuth traffic is on the TLS, but in reality, not just OAuth traffic, but every API traffic should be on the TLS. Okay, so that is very important. So yeah. So now there are some other terms also related to OAuth. One is called confidential or public app. So confidential apps are the apps which can keep those secret confidential. Okay. So those basically server side application. So any server side application, because you cannot see the credential from a server side application, right? So those are known as confidential app, and any apps which are client side, either native mobile apps. Okay. So any native app, Android app, iPhone app, or any JavaScript based app, any kind of JavaScript based app, because people, any even a technical user, you can do a right click, do a view source or something, or for mobile you can decompile and view source, right? If you are able to decompile and check the data or do a view source and check the data, that is not safe, right? So you, people can see. So those are known as public apps. So public apps or anyone which cannot store the secret, because you can, I mean, people can see the secret there. Okay, so usually what happens, uh, the OAuth flow. So even someone is using a native mobile, so not just native, yeah, native mobile app, or they are using a client-side scripting. If they are using a client-side scripting like Angular, React, or something, or they are using native mobile app, they will have their server-side component. Okay, so what happens? Their client app, okay, their client app will call their own server. Okay, and their server then will call our OAuth servers, Apigee server or Facebook server, whatever. Okay, they will call it. So they usually, that is how the flow works normally. Okay, so because it is not advisable for a public app or to directly call the OAuth server which is not hosted on them. Okay, not on their side. So now, and also we have some term called trusted and untrusted application. So all the first party apps are trusted application because they are from the same company which has access to your data. Okay, so like Facebook app for Facebook, correct? Facebook Messenger app, so those are first party apps. So those are trusted app for Facebook, correct? And your Google email app, right? A lot of Google apps are there, okay? Google email, Google Drive app, Google this app, right? All those apps for Google. So those are also trusted application for your Google data, right? So that's why. And then we have user credentials. So user credentials obviously should never be entered in the untrusted application. So we never, I mean, user should not provide any their Facebook credentials, for example, to some third party app which ask, okay, can you log in with your Facebook username password? Because obviously they can hack it, correct? So third party app, you cannot trust them. They can hack your username password right there. So we should never enter that. As part of the OAuth process, we discussed that we generate an access token, correct? So server generate access token. So that access token allows a specific application a limited access only, okay, a limited access to a resource for a certain amount of time. So access token will only have a limited access for the third party apps, okay, and it comes with a time. So token will get expire after certain amount of time, depending on the use case. So there is no guarantee on what is the time. I have seen in many projects, some project it gets expired 15 minutes, some project 1 hour, 2 hour. In some of them I have given, I have seen token is even for 1 week. So maximum I have seen 1 week. Okay, but usually ideal time is like 1 hour, 2 hour. That is the ideal time usually. Okay, so in APG Edge, APG generates token which are opaque string. Opaque string means it is just a random string. Okay, It is just a random string. Many servers generate tokens which are like JWT tokens, which means they will have some encoded data. Apg does not have any such thing. It is for the safety reason. So because if it is encoded, so someone can decode it or decrypt it and get some information, right? So in Apg, tokens will be just a random string. It will not have any encoded data, anything. Okay. On Apg internally on the server side, Apg will maintain all the mapping with the token. So Apg will maintain the mapping of the token with the client application, for which application it is generated, or if it was for a user also, if there are user credentials were given, so for use which user id it was generated, and any other attribute, any user custom attribute, scope, any custom attributes, whatever, it will internally maintain all the mapping. And apart from access token, in some specific scenario, okay, Apg will also generate a refresh token. So access token and a refresh token pair will be generated by the OAuth server, and internally that pair will have mapping with all the client ID secret and everything. Okay. Now I use the term refresh token, and but before that, yeah, this access token will be passed as a bearer token in the authorization header. So there is a certain format. Okay, as per the OAuth protocol, there is a certain format, and using that format only in authorization header, this token should be passed. So you use the word bearer. So bearer is, with B capital, bearer, then space, and then the token value. Okay, that is how it is. It should be passed as per the OAuth protocol. Okay. So that's what we will so we will see that a lot. Right now it is just a obviously introduction and basic overview slide, so we will cover everything in detail later on. Okay. And then yeah, and apart from access token, we generate a refresh token. Now what exactly is the refresh token, right? So refresh token is basically what happens when access token expires. Okay. So for example, you play the game, correct? You play the game, and every day you play the game, right? So you like say Candy Crush game, for example. People love to play Candy Crush game. So you can play Candy Crush. They will you provide them your permission for the first time you want to play Candy Crush. If you have seen like many games, when you play them first time, they will ask for permission. So you will give them permission. Okay, I'm giving them permission this app. And then after permission, you start playing the game. And what happens, so you when you start playing them, so obviously app will internally call Facebook and get an access token. Now that access token keeps expiring after 1 hour, let's say. Okay, after 1 hour token expire. But token is expired for after 1 hour. But if after every hour, if that app asks you to log in again, provide permission again, it will not be good from a user experience, correct? Because this is not ideal. You don't want to every 1 hour keep asking the same game, will keep asking, okay, continues, provide me permission again, provide me again. So what happens once the token is expired, okay, and if user has already given consent, so in scenario where user has already logged in, okay, when user data is involved, so when there is a user data involved and the token keeps getting expired, then in order to avoid user login again and again, or user consent and login process again and again, okay, the server generates a refresh token. So the work of refresh token is just to reissue a new access token when the access token expires. Okay. And after the user is still not within the time, so once access token expire, and you have to still call the OAuth server for some reason by API calls. If you have to still make API call, then it will regenerate a new access token. Okay, so that is the role. So internally it will regenerate a new token, basically refreshing the access token. Okay, you refresh the access token. So it will refresh the token, basically generate a new pair of access token and refresh token. That is the whole purpose of refresh token. Okay. So whatever was the original token property, same property is inherited to the new token. So that is the role of refresh token here. So refresh tokens have a very longer expiry time. So what happens, for example, if you keep playing the game, or if you keep using app, as long as you keep using app, it will refresh the token. So like but for example, if you don't use it for like 2 3 weeks or 1 month or 2 months, then automatically it will refresh token will expire. So refresh token is used as long as you keep using the app or game, it will work. But sometime after certain time, if you know that okay, this no one is using for, so refresh token expiry is like 1 month, 2 months, 1 week, very long compared to access token. Okay, so within that time, as long as you keep using, it will keep refreshing token. But yeah, if you don't use it for that much time, you leave it down, then refresh token also gets expired, and then your initial process will happen again. The first process again, it will ask for login, consent, and whatever. Okay, in those scenario. Now we have scope is a parameter. So scope basically is so the usually the architects, right, who are designing the APIs or creating those APIs. So usually those architects, they will usually set the value for the scope. So what they will do is they will see based on my API use cases, what should be the level of access that I have to give, okay, and what value I should put. So scope is like a free text. There is nothing, no guideline, nothing defined what to name as your scope. So if there is a use case where you have a access level like read or update, that kind of thing, so you can use read scope. In read scope you can only give get access. In update scope you can provide get post, all kind of access, okay. Or if there is a use case like for SMS API, you can say SMS scope. For payment API you can have payment scope, like this. Or for SMS API you can have one as SMS send scope, and one you can have SMS all scope. So it is all depending on the use cases, and it depends and it keeps changing based on API to API. It is entirely dependent on the architects who are defining the API. So when they design and architect the API, they usually set the certain words. So the values of these scopes are published on the API documentation, open API specs and all. You publish the value. So these are the value for the scope. So third party app will know what are the values I have to use for my scopes. Okay, so they will, so when they create app, so obviously, and in Apg, when you are creating the product, okay, in Apg when we create the product, in the product there is a mapping. So this product can have those OAuth scopes. So there is, in Apg you can define the value of the scopes, okay, on certain on products. So they ask for it. So but if you don't want, I mean, scope is optional parameter. So by default there can be a default scope. You don't have to set the value. It is optional. But obviously if you make it I mean you, I mean, as per protocol you cannot make it mandatory. But yeah, if you want to have certain custom scopes based on your scenario, you can set those value, okay. In Apg also you can map those scopes, so against the products. So API product can have the mapping to the scopes, okay. And then when, yeah, so whenever someone apps, when app is um, registered and it's subscribed to the app, those specific scopes also will be subscribed to them alongside, okay. So that's how in Apg you can maintain the mapping between product, scope and app, okay. But yeah, this, so scope is a field which determines, so based on the whatever value the client sent for the scope, we will already have all the access defined, and then based on that we can uh, yeah, based on that we can usually, yeah, give access to those APIs, okay. So we were talking about grant types. So in the grant types we have, as I said, so first grant type, it is a client credential. In client credential grant type, we don't need any user, okay. There is no need of any user resource, okay. And the use case is like all the business to business, all the B2B API or partner API, all internal API, any internal API which is not needing any uh, customer data or user data. So those all will be under client credential grant type. So this is the most straightforward one and the easiest one. In most of the project, I think we implement client credential grant type only, okay. Then we have a resource owner password grant, or we call them password grant type. Password grant type is like when you ask a user for this thing, so it's a for the first party app. So when there is user data involved, and it is used for the first party app, so any first party mobile app, okay, then we use password grant type, okay. And then everything else will be authorization code grant. So anything which is, so basically all the third party apps, all the third party apps and all the third party apps, okay, all of them will come under authorization code grant. So all the Facebook login with Facebook, login with Google, Facebook app, Google app, all those kind of things, all those third party apps, games that we play and all, everything comes under authorization code grant type, okay, all of them. Fourth, there is implicit grant, but it is not used anymore because there is some inherent security flaws. So this is almost discontinued, no one uses this, so we should not, so we don't need to cover this, okay. Implicit, no one now. Now, in OAuth uh, token scenarios, so depending on the which grant type we are using, okay, we have to use one of the grant types. So depending on which grant type you are using, the process to generate the token, okay, that process will be different, okay. So for each grant type, the process to generate the token will be different. However, once the token is generated, the using of token remains the same. So there is same way you will use the token, okay. So generating token is different, but usage of token will be same, okay. So we don't need to yeah, so we, I mean, we have I mean, there is no difference in the usage. So only generation of token differs depending on grant type. Some additional parameters, additional validations, those are required. Okay. So yeah, that is on the introduction part of this. Okay, so now moving to the next topic. So we will cover each grant type one by one. We will understand their use cases. Okay, and we will yeah, see where they are used. So we'll start with client credential grant. Okay, so client credential grant is one which is used as I told previously. So client credential grant is used whenever the resource is owned by the partner. It is a client or partner. Okay, app. It is nothing not to do with user. Okay,
Mhm.
so this is like a internal, as I told, internal apps. So it is internal uh, use case, or it is a partner use case. So partner to
Mm.
partner company, B2B APIs, or any non-public third API. So for example, you have Google Map API, correct? There will be weather,
Mm.
right? Weather APIs, Google Map APIs, translation APIs, in any financial data also APIs, correct? Those kind of scenarios, right? So where there is no user data involved, it is under, yeah, it is app to app, okay, B2B. So here protected data is for the app, nothing to do with the user. And all, if there is a user data getting transferred, then this grant type should never be used. It is very important to remember. This strictly app to app, okay, and there is no user data involved. Okay, then it should be used. So this is also very, I think in most of my project, this is the most popular and most common grant type that we use for APIs, okay, in Apigee. So that we will have to use. And in this grant type, we have a confidential app. So it is app, obviously the app is there, which will consume the APIs. And then we have Apigee Edge or the OAuth server, which will generate the token, validate the token, okay, and backend resource. So for all the OAuth grant types, okay, so the thing which we did in the last lab, okay, so someone, you have to publish the API, you have to register developer, you have to register app. Those things are a must. Okay, those things have
Mhm.
to be done before. So first, you will publish the API. Someone will come, right? A developer will register himself, their own account, and then register will create a client app. That process has to be done before. Okay, that
Mm.
process is going to be common. Okay, for everything. After that, they will build the app, and they will, yeah, make the call to generate token and everything. Okay, and then here confidential client. So idea is that this is for server side clients. The client will be like a server side thing, and they will be able to make sure the secret is not public. Okay, so they should be able to protect the secret. Okay, and because there is no user credentials involved here, so there is no need for a refresh token, right? Because you don't need to ask user to log in again. When your token expires, you make the call, generate new token, and use it. As simple as that. Okay,
Mm.
it's quite a straightforward one. So here in this flow, so this is overall flow, we will cover one by one. Okay, so first thing is that generating the token, right? So first part, obviously, when they want to make a resource token is not valid or not something, then they will try to generate access token. So to generate access token, okay, so OAuth server will have API. So there is a separate API. In that API will have endpoint. That endpoint will be token or resource, we call them, right? So there is a token
Mm.
endpoint. So client will make a call to token endpoint, and client will send a parameter called grant underscore type. Okay, so it will send grant underscore type. Okay, so it will send grant type value as client underscore credentials. It is the name of the parameter and value. These are the fixed as per the protocol. Okay, this is all the name is fixed, hard coded. Okay, so
Mm.
grant type as client credential, and then they will send client ID, client secret, and also the scope is optional, but client ID, client secret they will send. Okay, then OAuth server, which is usually here APGH, OAuth server will verify the client ID and secret, and then it will return. Okay, so all these things it will be written. So now in OAuth v2 policy, so we have a OAuth v2 policy to generate the token. In APG, there will be policy to generate the token. So policy name is OAuth v2. The operation will be generate access token. So this is the name of operation we use, and we have the token expiry time. So this expiry time is given in millisecond. So remove this 30, so then it will be second. Okay, remove the
Mm.
30. So 86400 seconds, that is your one day, 24 hours. Okay, so for example, in this example, the token validity is 24 hours, one day. Okay, then we set the supported grant type. This value will be hard coded as client credential, and then we include the grant type, the actual grant type which comes in the request. So request form parameter name, grant type. So that is the grant type parameter name, right? So this is the grant type value. So this is the name of the parameter. So same parameter name you have to give, request form parameter grant type. Okay, and it will pick it. And then this, we have this generate response as true. So generate response true means Apg will skip any other policy after this. Any policy which comes after that, that will be skipped. Okay, Apg will generate the response now, and then any policy on the response flow will start to be executed. Okay, so Apg will generate response, and Apg will start executing policy in the response flow. If we have any other policy after this in the request, it will be ignore. Okay, that will not be. So control will go to the response section. Okay, if we have
Hmm.
any policy, it will execute. If not, whatever response is there, same response will be sent back to client. Okay, so that's what. So here the client to the API call to get the token here. So for example, this is an example request. So it is making call to your OAuth token endpoint. Grant type will go in the body, request payload in the form parameter, and client ID, client secret. Those are passed in the basic auth header. Okay. So we convert a base 64 of the client ID colon client secret. Okay. We do a base 64, and then we will pass them as a basic auth. Okay. In the authorization header. Okay.
Hmm.
So this is how it is sent, and then this is the response. So you provide access token, right, and then expiry time. These two are main thing. Other things you can ignore. Okay, so Apg will pass a lot of things, but we can ignore those. These two are the main. Okay, so that's what. Then once you receive the token, so this token we receive, right, in the response, then you
Hmm.
make actual API call. The actual is like you can customer order anything, right, payment API, whatever. You make a call to actual API. We call them functional API, right? Any functional API call, you make a call, you pass this as a in authorization header. You pass this in the format bearer space and the token value. So whatever token you receive, that will be passed in this format. Okay, it will be passed.
Hmm.
You make a call, it can be get post, whatever call will be there as per the API. Okay, it will, you make a call in this API, like order API, customer API, or any API, right? Or our, for example, retail API, right? In those APIs, we will attach a policy. That policy will be for verifying the token. It is OAuth v2 policy only. Policy will be OAuth v2. The operation you see verify access token. Okay, so that policy is automatically applied. Okay, so verify access token policy to verify the OAuth. So this policy is automatically created. It will read the value from authorization header and will verify the token. It will see the token is available, token is valid, app are valid, and all the internal mapping it will check. Okay, and it will see access and everything, and then it will populate. Okay, if token is valid, it will allow to go. If not, it will throw. So that is how the was. So this is the simplest one, the most straightforward grant type, and easiest to implement. So next is the password grant type. So that grant type is a little bit more complicated compared to this, but only slightly, not much. So this grant type, the password grant type is used when we when there is a requesting app is a trusted application. So all your
Hmm.
Facebook app, Gmail app, right? In those apps, we use the password grant type. Even your net banking, mobile banking apps, right? Your mobile banking, right? All those apps, all your mobile banking app for HDFC Bank or ICICI Bank, all those first party apps. Okay, it is this grant type is used. Okay, so here in this scenario, user data is involved because you will log into your Facebook, Gmail, and everything, correct? Your
Hmm.
personal data will be transferred and everything. So it is used for the trusted first party apps, okay, which is provided by the same company that already has access to your data. Okay, and for reduced friction for logging, so obviously for reduced friction, the credentials are collected on the app. So you provide your credentials on the app, correct, and then app will make the call to the its own server and get the data, right? So that is why. So this should never be used for third party app. It is very important. So in the password grant type, we use and participants are like end user. So end user will be there. You have a confidential and trusted application. So OAuth flow should be on the server side, so the client ID and all is not exposed to hacker. Okay, and then you have you have Apigee Edge, the OAuth server, which generates and validates token. And then this is wrong. This should be authentication server, not the authorization server. Okay, so this is the wrong word. We have authentication server, or we call it resource server. Okay,
Hmm.
authentication resource server that will validate the user credentials, because OAuth server, you remember, like APGH, it does not store any end user data, correct? For end user,
Yeah.
there will be a database data source, and there might be a microservice or some other tool. There can be either a login platform or login tool, whatever, that will be separate tool that will validate the client. Okay, sorry,
Hmm.
when I say client, user, not the client. Apg will validate the client app and all, but that will validate the user. Okay, so we have one authentication server. Okay, and then actual backend API that will be there. Here, because you have end user data, so we generate a refresh token. Okay, So here little bit complicated here now. As part of this, you see here the token endpoint will be there. So on the OAuth server, we have token endpoint. So the call, when the call comes, you have grant type value will be password. Here grant type value changes to password, and client ID
Mhm.
and secret scope. Those three are there. Okay. Apart from those three, two additional parameters are sent. This is the end user, the actual user who is using. So username and password of the user. Okay. So what Apigee will do, or the OAuth server will do, OAuth server will verify the client ID, client secret. So the app is authenticated here. Okay, app is valid. Then they will call the backend service. There will be on authentication server. There will be service to do the login or verifying credentials. So it will do the make the call, verify, and then this based on the result, it will send the response. And after getting the response, it will create the access token. And what it will do, if this service, if the authentication service has provided any user attributes, okay, any user specific attributes and all those stuff, those are stored in, in the token mapping. Okay, when creating the token, these mappings also will be stored. Okay, any other token, backend token or some kind of thing, all kind of things will be stored here. Okay, so that's what
Mm.
it is. And then finally this is sent back to client. So this is how the process works. So it is little bit more additional work. As you can see, this is not that straightforward. Some additional steps are there, and then response is sent. Okay, so here this part remains same. Once the token is generated, the validation part, the usage part, that remains same. There is no change. Okay, so here you make a call, you get the call, make a call to backend service, backend will respond. Okay, so that part remains same. Okay, now now in generating token, there is a minor change up here. In generating token in OAuth v2 policy, the operation will be generate access token. You have a token expiry. So this is the OAuth access token expiry. Then you also provide a refresh token expiry. Remember, refresh token expiry is way longer compared to OAuth token. Okay, because OAuth token will expire in 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, but refresh token has to be like at least 1 week, 10 days, 1 month, like this. Okay, so refresh tokens are a lot longer valid. Okay, and then
Mm.
you can provide support. Grant type will be password, and this parameter, this is same. Now some additional mapping, you can see this username and password. So this is the end user username. Password we don't store it, so we don't use this password thing, because we don't store passwords anywhere in Apigee. It is not recommended, but yeah, we need to have a mapping, correct? So we need to map, okay, this token is for generated for this username. So username is stored in the username field. So there is a mapping available. And then you have this any custom attribute, for example mobile number, first name, last name, any email ID, any end user attribute, or if backend needs any backend token, so backend token, whatever, those can be stored in a custom attributes. Okay, and
Mm.
here display equal to false means this field will not sent back to client in the response. Okay, so this will be stored only on the server side. Okay, otherwise if you have display is true, then what happens in the OAuth token response, this field also will be sent back to client. Okay, but we don't want this, because these are all server side things, right? So we need to
Mm.
make sure that this is yep, this is all I mean it is only on the server. Any sensitive data of user is not exposed on the app. Okay, so now, so API call to generate the token. So this API call is slightly modified. So client ID and secret, that will continue to be in the basic auth header. Just that in the request body, you have grant type and you have username and password. These two are sent back in the sent from the client to Apigee. Okay. So that is sent, and two additional parameters are sent in the request. Okay. And the response, when the response comes, in the response you have access token expiry, you have refresh token and refresh token expiry. Both of them are there. Apart from access token, you also get refresh token and its own expiry. Okay, so some
Mm.
additional things are there. Other, anyways, this status and all will be anyways approved. So this is some additional things. So this is little bit more complicated, but obviously more secure. So for better security, you have to add all these things, right? And then yes, so this OAuth token, this part remains same. There is no change. So as I said, this is unchanged. Once you generate the token, then the token will be used in same way. You said bearer token, and then in your API, wherever API, and all the, so for example, if we have implemented 9 APIs where we have OAuth, okay, payment, SMS, user, order, whatever, right? So in all those payment 9 APIs, we will have this verify token policy, and there will be one policy to one proxy, dedicated proxy for OAuth. Okay, for OAuth token generation. Okay, so we will have one OAuth proxy. That OAuth proxy is supposed to generate the OAuth token, but all the other 9 or 10, whatever number of APIs, they will have the verify token part. Okay,
Mm.
so that way we'll verify the token. So that completes our password grant. Any questions so far in these two grants?
Yeah, actually, the second grand type, I need to go again and check the recording because
Okay.
it was too much for me to understand at one time.
Yeah, no problem. And so, anyway, so but today that's what we have. We will call it a day. So you can go
Yeah,
through it, you can understand, and yeah. Anyways, slides are with you, so you can go
yeah,
through slides also, understand it. And in the next weekend, we will yeah cover the remaining and also finish the OR topic with lab also. Okay.
sure.